How's everybody doing? It feels so dark in here today, doesn't it? Maybe it's just me. Less sun outside. This is the first time I've come down here where it's warmer here than it is in Glendale today. Today, Glendale was cool. I came down here and went, holy cats, it's kind of warm and humid down here. So wait a second, I asked, how's everybody doing? Good. Okay, we're getting there. I thought I'd start with, I have a whole smorgasbord of things I wanted to share today, but let me explain just about the class. The name of the class that's coming up that I'm teaching on October 8th is called Revealing Wholeness. The name of the book that we're using is Mind Over Medicine. And that's by Dr. Lisa Rankin, and we're also going to be using the Science of Mind book, and it's about incorporating the principles of science of mind towards healing. And it's not just physical healing, although that's kind of the thrust of the book. It's the physical healing, but the mental and spiritual healing as well. So that's what's going to be happening with that class. I thought I'd share with, I print out things all the time that just kind of get my funny bone. And Irma Bombeck, how many are familiar with Irma Bombeck? I love Irma Bombeck. She was like one of the funniest people she had a column in the Chicago Tribune, which is where I'm from, and we used to read it she was so much fun. But I thought, I love this one. If I had to live my life over, they asked her the question, if I had to live my life over, what would you do? And she said, well, I'd seize the moment and I'd remember all those women on the Titanic who waved off the dessert cart. You think about that for a second and you go, yeah, did it help them at all? I don't think so. So today I loosely entitled the topic, Creating Your Good. But what it really comes from is that, in fact, I'd like to share, what I often do at stoplights is I write down thoughts as I'm on my way here. So my first thought was about this, and I'd like you to please repeat with me this affirmation. My mind is a center of divine operation. So let's say it as a complete sentence. My mind is a center of divine operation. And think about that for a second, because the whole point of this teaching reminds us, many times, I don't know about you, but sometimes I've read things over and over and over again, and then all of a sudden, something clicks. Have you ever had that happen where all of a sudden you go, wait a second. So think about this for a second. If our mind is a center of divine operation, that means that we are directing the divine, right? So we say in this teaching, there is a principle of living, there's a principle of life, and there's a principle of creating things in our experience. And the first thing it is to know is that God and I are one, right? So if I understand that God and I are one, and that I'm made of the Spirit, that it brings to me where it is that I'm directing. Sometimes I had a struggle with trying to get over, I'm directing God? Wait a second, that feels a little bit blasphemous. I don't know if any of you have ever felt that way, but it feels like, okay, but what we're doing is we're directing an energy, and we're accepting in an energy of good. So think about something that might be a challenge for you in your life right now. Think about something that you want to create in your experience that isn't yet here. We can look at it as though we're following the yellow brick road. And when you think about Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz and following the yellow brick road, people just kept telling her to follow the yellow brick road, but she didn't know where it was going. She wanted to find her way home, and she was trying to find a solution to her issue of being in Oz and wanting to get out. But she didn't know what following the yellow brick road was. And what that means for us is, sometimes when we're handling something that might be a challenge and we don't know which way to go, the universe, if you're centering yourself and doing your spiritual work and your meditation, etc., the universe will remind us, trust your instincts, trust your intuition, go with what you know in your heart. And sometimes it's very counterintuitive to what you think you should be doing. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I have a task at hand, I'm like, all right, I'm going to roll my sleeves up and I'm going to do it all myself. I'm going to row this boat all by myself. And guess what? you work twice as hard, don't you? If you step back and say, I'm going to let the power of Spirit move through me and have that goodness just move through me and be who I am and inspire me, all of a sudden you'll get the inkling. Ruth, I laughed. Ruth Wagner has many happy stories about seeing billboards or signs or whatever that give you inspiration. So today I thought, I was looking around, I didn't really see anything, and all of a sudden I look at the truck in front of me and it said crosshairs. And I'm like, it was a gun thing. I wrote it down. A gun store, but it was called Crosshairs / the gun store. And I'm like, oh, what does that mean? And I thought, all right, who's in my crosshairs right now? Think about that. Who's in my crosshairs? I'm like, oh, I get an opportunity to bless that situation and let it go. Thank you, universe. It's silly stuff like that. And we think, oh, that's nothing. But actually, it is something, isn't it? It's important to pay attention to these little signs that go, you know what? Go talk to that person. I didn't follow an instinct this morning. I was in the UPS store, and I'm a notary. And I'm listening to the gal at the UPS store as I'm waiting in line, and she's the notary for UPS. And she said, well, you know what? My commission expired. I filled it out back in June. I haven't gotten it. I'm trying to find a notary. I should have piped up and said, I'm a notary. I'll come here and do notary for you. I didn't. I was like in another mind. And I walked out of the store, and as I'm driving home, I'm like, I should have said something to that gal. Do you ever do that where you go, darn it, I missed that opportunity? So the thing is that the universe is always paying attention to us. It's always hearing what we're requesting or what we're saying and declaring in our life. But the deal is we have to listen as well. So it's not just, my sweet friend, Reverend Martha always says, God, you do it. And you know what? She is a master manifester. I'm telling you, she is a master manifester. And she'll be like, God, you do it. But it isn't just God, you do it, right? It isn't like God's the bellhop or the waiter taking our order. It's that we have to say, yes, God, you do it. You have to release it. But we have to take action as well. It isn't like you just say, oh, I'm going to be inspired and I'm going to read all this wonderful stuff, and then I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to wait for it all to show up at my front door. Now, I know Terry Cole Whitaker tells a story about abundance, and she said she was seeing lots of money flowing into her experience. Lots of money flowing into her experience. And literally, the mailman brought a giant mail bag filled with checks for her to her office. He brought it to the office, and she said it was this giant bag, and she goes, it was all filled with money. So she said it was wonderful. My affirmation came true. And I thought, well, I wrote this down so I would not forget it. Prayer is not so much what you ask for, but how you prepare for its arrival. It's how you prepare for its arrival. Now, sometimes we ask for things, we demand things, we declare things, whatever it is, we put it out into the universe. And then we say, well, where is it? I don't see it anywhere. But we're not doing the work ourselves. So we're not doing the work that we're required to do is to take action, to have a vision, to see it happen. I was listening to a story about Jennifer Berend, who was one of the only students of Thomas Troward. And she talks about how she read Thomas Troward, who was the inspiration, by the way, for Dr. Ernest Holmes. And she read Thomas Troward, and she wanted to go study with him. But he was over in England, and she was here in the States. And she writes to him and says, I want to be a student of yours. He's like, I'm not taking students. I'm not interested, da-da-da-da-da. And she keeps writing and writing and writing. And then she realizes that if she was going to really create the type of experience that she wanted, she had to begin to live it as herself in her daily life, even though Troward had not responded to her. So what she does is she keeps writing to him, but she begins to visualize. And she says, well, if I were going to go study with Thomas Troward, what would I need to do? She's like, well, first I'd need money. And she had just lost her husband and she had a small stipend, but she didn't know if she had enough money. So she went and found out how much would it cost to go to London. And she said, and then if I stayed there, I'd have to have a place to live. I'd have to have means to like support myself for food, etc. So she figured out that she needed $20,000. So every night when she went to bed, she pictured $21,000 bills being counted out. And she kept writing to Trower, and he kept turning her down. And it's a long, beautiful story. It's in her short book that we have in the bookstore, which right this very second, I can't remember the name, but I'll find it. And she writes to him, and he says, okay, he sent her a verse from Revelations and said, what do you think this translation means? And she said she instinctively knew that how she answered his question was going to determine whether or not she would be his student. So she decided to go to all these different people for help, and she winds up finding one man in the end that does help her and helps her get it what it's right, and writes it back to Trower, and Trower said, you're correct. I'm starting to teach on blah, 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 blah. You're welcome to join me and stay on as my student after that. And what happened was I thought about her experience and I thought about her example. And we've seen so many examples of this. There's examples of the Wright brothers flying, of creating the light bulb, of the telephone, anything that's being created new, right? What it takes is that thing never existed, right? You're thinking of something, but it doesn't exist yet. So you have to think into the thing that you desire. But it isn't that you just think into it, because you do have to take action. So what this Genevieve did is she actually saved the money. She actually made the plan to go live in London. She did go live in London, and she did it, and she did become a student of Trower's. I was thinking there is an example that I've shared somewhere before, but bear with me if it bears repeating. It was a story about Wayne Dyer, and he was flying from somewhere around Chicago or something, and his flight got canceled, and he had a speaking engagement in Florida, and he had to get there, and he and everybody on his plane, everybody went to the counter and had to rebook their flight and get another route. And by the time he got to the counter, the gal goes, I'm sorry, there are no flights to Florida this evening. And he said, well, you know what? I'm a guest speaker before thousands of people. I've got to get to Florida. And she's like, I'm sorry, there's no chance. I mean, there's no flights. And he goes, is there someone else there that I can talk to that has more positivity than you do? And so the woman's all mad, and she goes back and she brings the manager forward. And so he says to the manager, I know that there is a solution to this that we can find, and I just need to get to Florida by this time. So she's typing away, and not even 2 minutes into it, she goes, well, look at this. Okay, it's not a direct route, but we can go from here to here, and I can get you into Florida by this time. And it worked out. Now, I'm sure everyone here in this room has some example where somebody said no, or it's not going to happen, or whatever. You found a way around it, because when you know what you know, and you know that you know it, it happens. It happens. It all comes through. One of the sayings of this Genevieve was, when she kept getting these no answers from Trower, I love this, I think we should adopt this. She declined to be discouraged. Rather than, sometimes when people say no to you, you go, oh yeah, and you're all mad, and you're all fixed, and you go, no, I'm going to decline to be discouraged. I'm not going to go into that realm. I'm going to stay right here and know my truth and know the solution that I desire, and that it's going to work out for everyone for good. So the idea is, no matter what says no to you, you have to decline to be discouraged and say, you know what, it's totally going to work out. Let's see. Oh. Yeah, I kept writing all these things as I was driving. I don't know. It was a long drive today. So we don't have to do something. We only have to be something. So think about this. If you want to create the things that you want in your life, I mean, just think of something, and we're going to do a guided meditation in a little bit that's going to focus on that. But if you want to create something in your experience, I always have this beautiful saying that I learned from Ernest Holmes: there's nothing I need to do, there's only something I need to know, right? So it isn't that you have to do something, but you do have to be something. You have to be that person that's willing to accept that into your experience. Remember, when we put a request out to the universe is working on it immediately, but it can only do for us what it can do through us. So if our mind is thinking, you know what, I'll take the crumbs, I'm not so used to whatever, I'm not so used to the success turning out, then guess what happens? The universe sees that as our experience and says, oh, that's what you're desiring? That's what you're putting out there? That's the energy vibration that you've got? Well, then that's what I'll create. We have to make welcome the solution to what it is we're requesting. And so that's why they say, you know, if you want... say you want a partner in your experience. Well, could your partner move into your house right now as it is? Or is your house really cluttered and crowded? Do you have some empty drawers where they could put their clothes if they were going to stay overnight? You know what I'm saying? Did you make room for it? If you're going to, think about with a garden, if you're going to plant a new flower, you've got to make space for it. Don't you? We have to clear out the spot, especially roses. Roses, I'm discovering that I can't cram them in as like I did. I have to make a big space for my rose and give it roots, process for its roots. So the other thing is, when we're thinking about what it is that we want to create in our experience, pay attention to your self-talk. You know what? I always say that, you know, they say that if you wanted to lose weight, they say put your face, pick a svelte body out of a magazine and put your face on it and put it on the refrigerator. But if every time you walk up to the refrigerator and go, fat chance, that's going to be me, right? Well, what is the energy that you're putting out, and what does the universe pick up on? The picture that you're looking at, or the fat chance? It's picking up on that fat chance because you don't believe it's for you. Although I know a lot of us, we can know great things for each other, but knowing it for ourselves is a whole different ballgame. And I don't know where that comes from, but time to let that go. I wanted to read something that I read. This one I'm going to read at the end. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. So think about that for a second. Sometimes between the desire and the declaration, there's a space. There's a space. And in that space is all the possibility in the world. But all we need to do is put ourselves and make ourselves available to it. So sometimes I've met folks, and I've done it myself, where we have no problem asking for what it is that we want, but then we don't do anything else afterwards. We don't expect that it's going to show up. It's not a hopeful feeling that we're going to have. It's being in that space in between and knowing that the universe is working on it. Like sometimes, I know I've always said this, I'm going to look for this other quote. If you look for something that's bothering you, if you write it on a piece of paper and go leave it on your kitchen counter, and then throughout the day, if it's still bothering you, you go, oh, well, you know what? I left that on the kitchen counter. You've found a way to detach yourself from the situation so that the solution can show up. Because sometimes we're so hell-bent on the problem du jour, we're so focused on it that we don't give the universe any budge to be able to give us the solution. Another thing, I read this on Facebook yesterday. I found this to be so beautiful, so I thought I'd share this. Small kindnesses. I've been thinking about the way when you walk down a crowded aisle, people pull their legs in and let you go by. Or how strangers will say, bless you, when someone sneezes. A leftover from the bubonic plague, I guess. Don't die is what they're really saying. And sometimes, when you spill lemons from a grocery bag, someone will help you pick them up. Mostly, we don't want to harm each other. We want to be handed our cup of hot coffee and to say thank you to the person handing it to us. To smile at them and for them to smile back. For the waitress who calls us honey when she sets down our bowl of clam chowder, and for the driver in the red pickup truck who lets us pass in front of him. We have so little of each other right now, so far from the tribe and the fire. Only these brief moments of exchange. What if they are the true dwelling of the holy, these fleeting temples where we make together when we say, go ahead and take my seat. Go ahead, you first, or I like your hat. So think about that for a second. Today, I was at the UPS store and I was bringing back this big, heavy box. A friend of mine, as a gift, sent me a portable air conditioner because I was telling him it was 107 here. And he was like, oh my God, that sounds terrible. And I said I had a window unit. So out of the kindness of his heart, he sent me a portable air conditioner. Well, I have one in the second bedroom, but I don't have room for the other one I thought my bedroom's so small, I don't have room to put it there. So for me, the gesture of him sending the air conditioner was the sweetest thing. I thought, oh my God, what a beautiful gift. What a beautiful gift. And so I told different people, my friend got me this portable air conditioner. My neighbors who know me go, where are you going to put that? I go, I know. I don't know where I'm going to put it. I'm going to put it at UPS. So, but just the gesture of it was beautiful. So this morning when I was at UPS, the box is big and it's heavy. So my neighbor helped me get it in the car, and he's like, how are you going to get it out of the car? I go, I don't know, I'll figure it out when I get there. So then I got there, and I thought, well, I can get it out of the car. So then I got it out of the car on the ground, and I thought, I cannot lift this. I thought I could, but I can't. So I'm standing there, and I thought, oh, man, there's like no one around. There's this there was a tall high school girl, darling girl. And she was, it looked like she was in soccer. She had a soccer jacket on, or coat, T-shirt on and stuff. And she's on the phone with her girlfriend. And she goes, I can help you with that. And I go, thanks. And she goes, I can lift it by myself. I go, okay. So I'm helping her. We go in. But I found someone to help me. And I thought, isn't it interesting that the universe, the moment you have a need, the universe can fill it in as long as you're open to the opportunity, right? So I know we have to make plans, we have to plan to do things, but sometimes if we just allow the universe to take care of us, it does. Have you ever noticed? We've all made it through some sort of trauma or challenge or whatever, and we're all still sitting here, aren't we? So we've made it through whatever it is we were grappling with 2 months ago even. So the thing is, it's to let the universe just be with us. Being in the flow and allowing the universe requires being in the present. And the present means to be. And just like we were saying earlier, that there's nothing I need to do, but there is something I need to be. And what I need to be is the person that has whatever it is that I'm desiring. So we'll do a guided meditation and we'll think about what is it that you want to create in your experience and what is it that you need to let go of and what is it you need to be. Say goodbye so that you can say hello. Learn to trust the journey, even when you don't understand it. I don't know about you, but have you ever had that experience? When something's going wrong, you're like, what is going on here? How did I call this into my experience? That isn't in my consciousness at all. And yet it shows up, right? And so you say, you know what? This too is for good. This too is for good. The moment that we declare some challenge is for good, what happens? The energy shifts. The energy shifts because our energy has shifted. And we say, you know what? There's only good that's coming out of this, and I'm going to see the good in this. I'm going to visualize that everything works out perfectly and everything's not a challenge, and it just goes smoothly as pie. So learn to trust the journey, even when you don't understand it. When people or circumstances close their doors to you, it's a hint that your personal growth requires someone different and something more. Life is simply making room, so embrace the goodbyes, because every goodbye that you receive in life sets you up for an important hello. It's a hint that your personal growth requires someone different or something more. Do you ever have that? When you have a disagreement with something and you realize, you know what, it's time for me to let that go, and I'm not quite comfortable letting that go. Just know that as you let something go, it's opening up the door to something new. And something new is always coming through. There's another one here. I've read this before on a Sunday, but this fell, as I picked up this fell on the ground. I'm like, okay, universe, I'm supposed to read this as well. So this one is from Abraham Hicks, who's they're one of my heroes. So, tell everyone you know, my happiness depends on me, so you're off the hook. And then demonstrate it. Be happy no matter what they're doing. Practice feeling good no matter what. And before you know it, you will not give anyone else the responsibility for the way that you feel. And then you'll love them all. Because the only reason you don't love them is because you're using them as an excuse not to feel good. I have goosebumps when I read that. Did that resonate with anyone? I mean, that is, guess what? Even those people that bug the daylights out of us, guess what? They're a gift. They are a gift that opens our heart up to learning and accepting and blessing more. And guess what? You can bless them right out of your experience if you want to. I mean, because that sometimes is a necessary thing. You have to say goodbye to some friendships that don't work any longer, or even jobs or whatever it is. But the thing is that knowing that each person is a blessing, the moment you look at them as a blessing, everything shifts, doesn't it? You're not as mad, you're not as troubled by it. You're now coming from the place of knowing what is my solution. So being present means being in the here and now. And some people refer to it as being in the zone, when you're painting. I know, or when you're doing something, even when you're cleaning, which may seem like a job, but when you're cleaning, do you ever get in that mindset when you're cleaning and you're scrubbing, and all of a sudden it's like the scrubbing bubbles are working out all that stuff that whatever energy you have in your body. It's a wonderful place to come from, to be in that zone, because when you're in that zone, that's when intuition can come in, because you've kind of let go of your monkey mind and you've let things happen and be. Everything in our life was first formed as a thought. The thought itself didn't create. We didn't create the thought. The thought either places us in the universal law of receiving or not. So the thought doesn't create, remember. It places us in that energy. It's again like being at the yellow brick road, and you're not knowing where the next little turn is going to take you. But guess what? The moment you've declared you're good and you stay from that place centered in that power and that energy, it will bring you along to the right people, to the right places, to the right things, to the right words, to the right bumper stickers, to the right billboard signs, or whatever it is, to help move you along. And you'll get these little confirmations all the time to go, yeah, you got it. You're on the right path. You're on the right path. This teaching reminds us we think from the result instead of our conditions. So again, when Genevieve was thinking about studying with Thomas Troward, she kept picturing $1,000 bills. I thought about that. I don't even know who's on. Anybody know who's on the $1,000 bill? I don't know. I didn't even know there was a $1,000 bill. But if there is, we're going to get it in our vision, right? We have a friend on our Monday night Zoom. She is a great manifester. And she went to celebrate her birthday in Las Vegas. And so we were like, all right, how much did you come back with? And she won $900. And she said, I just blessed every machine I was at, and I knew that it was going to come forward. I heard a story about Eckhart Tolle, and he was living up north, and he was writing one of his, I don't know which book he was writing, but he was writing a book. And he said that he was running out of money, and he had rented this place, and he was running out of money. So he sat down and he figured out, now how much money do I need for the next couple of months to sustain myself? And he came up with $3,000. So he went down to the food store. He said he bought himself a sandwich, and he bought a lottery ticket. I don't know what kind he bought, but he bought a lottery ticket. I think it was a scratcher. Or whatever it was. What do you think he got? $3,000. He won $3,000 on his lottery ticket. He sat down, meditated, said, this is what I need, universe, this is what I need to sustain myself to finish this book, went to the store, did the ticket, did it, created the $3,000. Now we go, how cool. But guess what? Have you thought about that for yourself? And it doesn't mean going out and buying a lottery ticket, but whatever it is that you desire. Maybe it's, I'm looking for this phone number, or I'm trying to find this person, or I'm trying to create a new job. I'm trying to get find a new book. I want to find a new class. I want some more friends. Whatever it is, think about it. Think about what it is that you desire, and then you can know that you can create that, and that the law of the universe is saying, I want to create for you the exact experience that you desire, but I can only do it through you. So the moment that we keep our mind open and that make ready for the thing that we desire, it can show up. Because if we're not ready for it, it may show up at our door and we'll be like, thanks, I'll talk to you later, right? I don't remember who the woman was, but I was talking to a gal a couple weeks ago, and she wound up marrying her childhood sweetheart from high school. And she goes, well, it was a very strange way that we came about it, because we were in high school together and we were in love, and then we broke up. We both went to college. I got married, he got married. His wife died, my husband died. And she said, and we came back to a reunion. And she said, and we hadn't lost touch with each other completely, didn't know anything that was going on. She goes, we show up at the reunion, and we're like, oh my gosh, you're available? I'm available. Hey, and they got together. And it was like, they said, we wondered, like, what happened? Like, through all that lifetime, we could have been together. It's like, no, you created another life, and now you had a space that was an opening, and now you created a new experience. And they were back. She goes, it was like we hadn't missed a beat. I know my friend Marty Wing has this saying, sometimes when you see people that you haven't seen for a long time, or even that you've never met, but you feel like such a simpatico with them, you look at them and go, hey, how have you been? How have you been? Because you feel like you just skipped a beat and you just haven't seen each other for a while. So in closing, let's just know that there are some beautiful ways that we can create what it is we want. And part of it is by being that energy and declining to be discouraged. Put that in your mental file cabinet up there. Just decline to be discouraged, because it creates all the space that we want to create the thing that it is we desire. And so it is. Okay, and so now this is the time of our sharing of our good. Okay, and we're going to have the affirmation on the wall here. Oh, there I am, your affirmation. Divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, to bless, and to prosper all those who give and all those who receive. I rejoice in the sharing of my good, and I release my gift with love. And so it is. Thank you, Ruth. It's so quiet in here today. Feels very peaceful today, doesn't it? It feels like a peaceful day. I scared the bejesus out of my cat this morning. I have a Ring alarm, and I was so excited that it was cool out in the morning. I'm like, yippee, and I opened the kitchen window, and I completely forgot that I had my Ring alarm on. So the ring alarm goes off, and I'm like, I haven't heard that ring alarm in so long. I'm like, oh my gosh, what do you do? So I went over, and I punched in my code, and it didn't take it off. And I kept punching in my code, and it didn't take it off. And then I just started pushing every button, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it went off for like 5 minutes, and the cat is running like he thought he did something wrong, So he's running like, he's scrambling all through the house. I'm like, sorry, bud. So and I pushed the X, and then the thing, and then it went off. And then, of course, they call, and they go, do you need us to call emergency, and da-da-da-da-da. And I thought, no, I don't. So it reminded me that, just like we have to push a code for our ring alarm, for our alarm, there's a code to the universe. There is a code to the universe that we use. And they asked me my word. She goes, and what's your word? I go, what's my word? And it was like 6:25, and I'm like, what's my word? I go, do I have a word? And she's like, yes, you do. And I thought, holy cats. I go, you know what? And I said, and I gave her this word, and she goes, that's the word. I'm like, dang, I tell you, I did not know what the word was. I did it 3 years ago, and I never wrote it down, and I didn't even know what it was. So I said, well, la-di-da. So I'm like, Bo, you're safe, don't worry. But I thought, isn't that interesting? Even on your ring alarm, there's a code. And it's the same with this teaching. There's a code, and that code is you have to be available too. So to that end, I invite you, let's relax. Oh, I was going to say, can I sit down on the stair, or will that mess things up? Okay, good. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to get comfortable. And we're going to play some beautiful, soft music. Does anybody know how wonderful Grant is, by the way? Grant back there. And I think I see Melissa back there. Yes, and Melissa's back there. She's amazing as well. Thank you both. Thank you both. They make us look good. And sound good, yes. So I invite you to just take a deep breath in. And breathe in another time, very deep, deeper than you've breathed all morning. And then just take 1/3 last breath, very deep from your tummy, all the way up. And now, I want you to picture yourself you've just parked your car, or your driver just let you off at the forest. And you are at the very beginning of a forest. And there's a beautiful wide trail. And it's got that compressed dirt, so there's no kicking up of dirt or anything, no rocks to walk over. And you're walking into this forest. And you're just looking around, and you look up and you can see the blue sky, and it's sunny, and you can see the trees just kind of waving back and forth, dancing in that sunlight. And you can smell the pine and the leaves and the soil, and you hear birdies chirping. There are all sorts of little critters running around on the branches. And as you breathe in, you just feel as though you're one with this beautiful nature. And just walking through very slowly, putting your hand out and touching some of the trees. And you look over on some little reeds, and there's some ladybugs crawling up the reed. And there's different oak trees that are mingled in with the pine and mingled in with different types of trees. And over to the left, you see this beautiful little brook, and it's just gently moving, Just very quietly, you can hear the little trickle of the water. And the air is just very clean and clear and crisp. And as you're walking, you see this beautiful, gigantic tree. It's like the biggest tree you've ever seen in your life. It is so huge. It's this big oak tree. It has branches going everywhere. And it's lush and green and very vibrant and alive. And walk up to that tree, and I want you to just picture yourself putting your arms around it. And you've got your feet at the base of that tree, and you can take your shoes or your sandals off and just feel your feet on that tree and feel your arms around that beautiful tree. You can smell the bark. Just feel that energy. And it's almost as though, now that your feet are on that tree, it's as though the roots of you go very, very deep down, following that tree. As deep as the tree roots are, you feel your roots going deep, deep into the earth. You feel that beautiful energy. And you feel, as your arms surround this tree, every muscle in your body just relaxes. You feel this complete sense of surrendering over to this tree. Just whatever it is that might have been on your mind or your heart, just let it go. And find yourself, it's as though you're plugged into this tree, right at your solar plexus. And it's energizing you. Every cell, every atom, every aspect of your body is just being revitalized and renewed. You feel this radiant energy just moving through you, clearing away any toxins or any ill feelings or any of that stuff. It just right away just rolls out. Just breathe in. It's as though the tree is breathing with you. Breathing in. Right in this moment, you have no worries, you have no troubles, you have no issues. Everything is perfect. And you are perfect. You are part of this divine nature. And you really feel it. It's just this energy that moves through you. And it just reminds you of who you are. And it's like you have a slow awakening of remembering that all that stuff that might concern you has no power. And it's of such little importance in the scheme of things. Right here with your feet planted, your roots deep, and your thoughts enveloped in this beautiful energy, you can do anything that you desire to do, anything. In fact, you're so calm about it that there's nothing you need. There's not a thing you need right here. All is well right here. And you tilt your head back and look way up at that tree. And it's as though that tree is just smiling down. And if it had arms, it would wrap them around you. Breathing in, you step off the bottom of the tree. You bow and bless that tree and say, thank you. Thank you for reminding me who I am. And as you back up, knowing that anytime you need to, you can come back to this tree, to this site, to this peacefulness, to this deep understanding, and discover your truth that's always been there. To discover that love that's inside of you always. And so you slowly turn. And it's as though the whole forest was with you on that excursion with the tree. All the little animals are all around. Happy, joyous, moving. Birds singing, little squirrels and critters moving about, happy. And as you're on your trail, you're going back to the beginning, remembering that whatever it is that might have been on your mind or heart, you left back there. You released it. It's been cleansed and cleared. And so right here, you find yourself coming back into the room with a new sense of peace and calm and resolution. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Welcome back. I wanted to share this other thing that I had read and printed. It's very appropriate for now. I want to live simply. I want to sit by the window when it rains and read books that I'll never be tested on. I want to paint because I want to, not because I've got something to prove. I want to listen to my body, fall asleep when the moon is high, and wake up slowly with no place to rush off to. I want not to be governed by money or clocks or any of the artificial restraints that humanity imposes upon itself. I just want to be boundless and infinite. And there we have it. Okay, this is the time of our treatment. If anyone would like treatment, something to pray about. Anybody have anything going on? Okay, right here. Oh, we got one over here. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, I can see when I do this.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Beverly, and I loved what you did for us today.
Oh, thank you.
My son is needing a job. He got laid off 2 or 3 months ago, and I'm going to use, I decline to be discouraged. Because this morning he said to me, Mom, I think I'm giving up. I'm so discouraged. So I'd like prayers. His name is Robert Freeman.
Robert, okay, perfect. Okay.
Do I need to say anything about the job or anything?
Nope.
Nope?
Nope.
Thank you.
We're good. Okay, so this is what we know for Robert. And we're knowing this in the first person because there is only one mind, and it's the mind of God. God and I are one. In that sense of unity, I know that all the wisdom and knowledge and love and appreciation and commitment and sense of being and sense of worthiness are mine. I take on the mind that was in Christ Jesus. And that is this high knowing, this ready expectancy of knowing that my good is here and I ought to have it. And I'm knowing that it is expressing in me right now in the form of the perfect job. It's a job that I love and that loves me. It's a job that pays me what I desire and more. It is a job that is so rewarding because I get to share my gifts and give them wondrously, and they are so appreciated. I attract to me the perfect work buddies, the perfect location, the perfect type of job, everything. And guess what? I even get to learn. I open up my mind to new things, to apply what I do know and to learn more things. And I am so refreshed that I let go of the old and I'm embracing the new. The fact that I let go of that job means that I was ready to let go of it. I had somehow let the universe know, I'm done with that. I'm on to bigger and better things. And so bigger and better things are manifesting right here and now. In my experience, I attract the perfect people. I say all the right words during my interviews. My capabilities and my talents are completely appreciated and recognized and sought after. In fact, I see more and more people, they're wanting me. My door, my phone is constantly ringing because everybody's desiring to have me work for them because I'm so great at what I do. And so I release this with knowing that I am blessed. I bless it right here and now and know that it's already done. And with great thanks and a knowingness that it's in God's hands now. It's done, and together we say, and so it is. Okay. And then, David, did you have?
Yes, my stepmother. Okay. My stepmother, Naomi, I like prayer around her right now. She's been homebound since my father passed 3 years ago. And just prayer around her for peace and abundance. Also, I have a question about when your class starts on October 8th.
Yes.
What date or what time does it start?
There's a flyer out front, and we're going to have a sign-up sheet as well,
Oh,
which will be helpful for me. But it's going to go from 10 to 12:30.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, on Saturdays.
Okay.
Okay, so for Naomi, I just find it interesting. Last night in my dream, a woman came to me and said, you know what, can we pray for Naomi? So it's very interesting that you're saying pray for Naomi. There's my goosebumps again. So, okay, we're going to know for Naomi. Let's know right here and now. The power and presence of God is the only power that exists, and it is the power that I use. It is the understanding that I have and that I open up to, this new idea, newer idea, that God, by means of me, is having this beautiful expression of life. And no matter what my circumstances, I can release and let go of the saddened feelings, of the sickened feelings, of the desperate feelings, of the destitute feelings. I surrender them over right now. And I take my mind off that preoccupation of loss, that preoccupation of fear, that preoccupation of what am I going to do? And I let that go. And instead, I just keep affirming, God is and I am. God is, I am. God is, and I am. And that means that God and I are one. There's nothing I need to do other than to be the experience of life that I desire. I get myself onto that path of knowing there is hope. There is a sense of more, that life continues, and that I do have a purpose, and that I do have a divine desire to express and be more, and do more, and have more. And in that, I know that I am a divine expression of God. I am a perfect thought in the mind of God. God has not abandoned me, And so I will not abandon God. I now let go of those things that are pulling and tugging and bringing me down. And I instead embrace this liveliness, this energy, this vibrational love of the universe, of God. I take myself out of the issue and I put myself into the nature of my own beingness. And from there, I am restored, I am renewed, I am refreshed, I am an awakened being now. So I just breathe in and know that I don't have to carry those burdens anymore. I don't have to do it. I can let go. And it doesn't mean I love less. It means that I'm loving myself more to move on. So I release this. I surrender this over to the power and presence that knows how to bring about my joy, my light, my beingness. And so I center myself in that knowing right now. Grateful that my prayer is answered right here and now. And together we say, and so it is. Cool. Anyone else? Okay. I think we're good. We're going to go have a great Wednesday, right? We're already having one, I think. Yep, we are indeed. All right, thank you. Thank you. Gosh, time goes fast.